What is up, everybody? This is going to be the devlog number 4 for CP payload Gavle. I've actually done two different versions since the last video. A4 and A5, the holidays kind of got in the way of recording, but I did do some testing. A4 was a bit more of a bigger change. A5, I ended up tweaking a few different things. And one big kind of cool new feature that you'll be seeing here shortly. The number one change that was absolutely massively important to the map was spawn timers. I cannot believe I waited so long to tweak them. I ended up giving blue a much shorter spawn time than they had before, and it helped so much. Before, it was a constant slog to capture even just A. A is pretty, reasonable now. It's not instant, it's not easy, but blue has much better fighting chance for it. And B is actually very possible. We saw B get capped for the first time since the first A1 test in the test of A4, which was incredible to see. I'm very happy that finally we're now to the point where it's possible, and it seems very doable. It actually might have been a little bit too easy, so I'm going to be doing some more tweaking coming up. We'll talk about that. I added a new door over here. Once A is captured, this kind of gives blue a bit of another route to cut off this corner. I didn't end up making a forward spawn yet. I'm still trying to avoid it if I can. I like the idea of giving engineers a bigger role. They can help a ton if they throw down a teleporter. But you're not just absolutely wrecked if you don't have that teleporter either. So you have some ways around. You have the underground, the sewer route you can take to cut this corner off, which if you're leading towards the bottom is good. If you want to head towards the top, you can end up taking this little kind of spiral staircase. I'm not 100% sure about the flow of this yet. I have the window here that shows you it's there, which helps a lot. But I don't like that you have to backtrack backwards, like churning a full all the way around to get back up to this door here. I would like that to be a little bit more streamlined. I'm not quite sure how I want to do it yet. Something to think about in the future, though. I also bumped up so after you capture A, the max time limit is a little bit higher than it was before, and you get a little bit more time added to the clock. I found this should help at least make it more fair to capture B. It's something still that I can tweak and I can keep an eye on. We'll see how it goes. Another big change is I limited how red could get out of last, and that seems to have helped quite a bit in not allowing red to flank behind blue. I put this big drop down here coming into last, which greatly benefits attackers. Obviously jumping classes, the soldier, demo, scout, they can get up there pretty easy. An engineer could boost it might even be a teleporter, honestly. It might be enough to jump up there. I'm not sure yet. I have to see that. But at the very least, it gives it that extra step that it's not just an instant you can get behind any push from blue. This alone right here has helped a ton. It did, however, run into, like I talked in the previous video, that if I did something like that the flow of the map would get thrown off a little bit, because defenders coming out of spawn going towards A are going to be directed that way still. So I ended up putting this new door here on B, which came with its own set of problems, to be fair. And I have this little metal platform here. I put that platform there so you could still see what was going on underneath. I wanted it to be visible. I wanted, if there was blue down there making a push, I didn't want them to be completely hidden by this new walkway. So I figured if I made it this metal grating material, that it would be a lot easier for defenders to know what's going on down there and not be surprised when there's a Uber getting built up or a sentry getting built or something down there. And then on the other side too, I ended up putting this little platform over here, which I gave blue this little upper way to get onto here now, so it's more directly. You don't have to come out and go down, get to the lower ground. They have that little higher ground advantage. They go up this little platform, and then they're up in this area next to last, which is this is a fun little building to kind of fight around and in. I've seen a lot of really good fights in here. I've had a lot of good fights in this corner of the map, and this little bit of height helps a lot. And then it also, when you're down on the ground, you can't just instantly jump up again unless you're a jumping class, soldier, demo, scout. You can't just jump in there. But you can, right now, you can use this staircase and leap, and I think it's all classes except for maybe heavy. Doesn't quite have the speed to get there. But every other class can. I'm thinking about limiting that a little bit. I may have for the next version, honestly. It's been a bit. It's been the holidays. I don't know what's going on. And I think if you, I want to limit that a little bit more because this back area is a really, really nice place for blue to hold. I didn't end up remaking it. I think, like I talked about in the last video, I tweaked some things around it, but I didn't end up completely redoing it. I wanted to give it a little bit more time to simmer before I made any drastic changes. Of course, you know, I messed up this seam on the map and the displacements, which has been called out a few times now, and I forgot to fix for the next version. Oh yeah, going back to A, I also added this little ramp here, which I discussed. I wanted blue to have the ability to get up here a little bit easier instead of having to take that convoluted back route, which I'll get to next here. And this will open things up a lot more, I think, for the map. It's much easier to go down this central lane and rotate. Do I want to go to the left, make my way up? Do I want to go straight forward or drop down and go up towards A? Or do I want to use this kind of upper area here, this building, to give it a little bit of height advantage going to A? You're still pretty, like, you got this choke right around A no matter what, while before A is captured. But this upper area here is such a really strong hold that you can have a chance to build up an Uber charge, have a chance to build up a sentry nest with a teleporter, and just have players constantly streaming out of here. And I widened things up a little bit. I made this door a little bit different to give blue slightly more of an advantage. They're not boxed in as much as they were before. It was a subtle change. I think this just got a little bit wider here. But I think that helps a lot. You can get around, like if I stood here in a test and just spammed rockets, and I spammed like flare gun shots, and anybody trying to peek out was getting hit by it because this was so narrow here that they only had so much room to work with. But now if you've got this much room to work with, you can kind of keep right on the edge of things, which I think helps. And then probably the biggest change to the flow of blue coming out is I did block off this sewer. It's actually still all there. I just blocked off the walls because I figured I could just take it back if I wanted to. But I don't think I'm going to as of right now, because in the few tests that we did, it seemed like that really helped the flow. That underground route is nice, but it's not necessary for getting over there, especially with this new door open here. And you also have the option of, like, if you get kicked down here, which happens fairly often. I did widen this walkway out here going to A at somebody's request. But if you're pushing here, a pyro air blasts you down. Instead of just having to grind your way back up on either side, you can retreat back, come out, go up, and now you have this upper area to fight from instead of having to take the obvious, you know, if you get pushed down there, you've only got a very visible way to get out if somebody's standing here. So I think that helped. I think that actually worked out really good, having that gone. So as of right now, I think I am getting rid of that part of the sewer. But I still want to maintain a sewery kind of feel to the map. There's some ideas I have coming up that I think is going to add to that, so I think it'll be cool. Then, of course, I adjusted some health and ammo here and there. I've reduced capture times further, which has been pretty much every test since A1. Like, I think A1, the capture times were a little bit too fast, and then I bumped them way up for A2, and ever since then I've just been scaling them back every update. So let's talk about A5. Absolute #1 biggest thing that's going to be really obvious are these new custom flat team colors. I'd had some people, you know, the all-white look was getting a little bit grating. I'm still sticking to my guns on the flat look, but I wanted to make things stand out a little bit more so you knew what side of the map you were on, whose territory you were pushing into. So as you start getting into red, it's like really obviously like this is a red building, this is where the capture is. I tried to make it very red heavy around the captures and to guide players' eye towards, like, oh, I need to go this way. You look over, you see the arrows, and then once you push back into here, it's a lot of blue because this is blue territory. Blue spawn is just all this blue coloring. And as you push out more, you get to the neutral colors. Like, this tends to be blue territory. But you start getting to the neutral colors, everything's completely neutral, and then you're into red territory. And then this directs you, this shows that this is blue's side from this perspective. And then red, you're like, okay, this is where I need to go for red. Down here is a bit more neutral territory, so it just gives you that suggestion that you would normally get out of some like the other team colored deb textures or detailing. In the end, this is going to be replaced by less blatantly obvious detailing, but it'll be more blue aligned, more red aligned, things like that. And I think it helped for newer players. Like, I've played this a bunch of times, and I have to always remember, I know the layout. People who are coming in for the first time are not going to know the layout, so I need to help direct them with not just signage, but showing which territory is which. Like, even like the drop down here, like I made it all red because only red really can use this. Maybe that'll throw things off if people go, oh, it's a flank to red before they capture A, but it's going to be closed off before they really should be too much in that territory, so we'll see how it goes. I think this is going to help quite a bit for team recognition and territory kind of control of directing where the front line of combat is. A big thing in TF2 is that front line of combat, and you want it to be a hard line that's kind of getting pushed back and forth with, you know, minor altercations, taking ground. If there's a little bit of a flank route, you kind of have an easier time taking that front line and pushing it back, and ultimately, especially for a two-stage map, ideally you want blue always pushing forward, and this helps define it a little bit. It's almost like a psychological thing too. Like, if you start pushing into red's territory, you're feeling like, oh, okay, I'm in the thick of it now. You can tell like this building's a little bit more neutral, but it's red owned. The inside is neutral, and then you push out and you're like, okay, now I'm definitely in the thick of it, and this is the capture point. I also, the big thing is, in the last test, I opened up this new route, and it ruined a lot of cover for red on defense. I almost pushed it a little bit too far, making it a little too easy to take B. Mostly with like snipers. I noticed that like a sniper here had a lot of visibility on the point. So I kind of narrowed down this door a little bit. I added this piece of cover here, which as you're walking, you're only exposed to a sniper for a shorter amount of time if they're in that window here. And I think I narrowed this window out. Yeah, I put a frame around it here, so it kind of narrows that sight line a tiny bit too, unless they get way up in there, but then they're more exposed. It's all a balancing act. I still like this window, but I'm keeping an eye on it. I also noticed in testing that when I put this platform here with that roof being lower, a lot of people wanted to jump on it, and it was all clipped off before. So I took the clipping off that, and I made it a little bit flatter so it could be more gameplay-oriented space. I figured that'll just make things a little bit more interesting. Like a scout can use this to jump off of, to get over here, to get to here, to get onto the point, like that sort of thing. Don't know if it'll stay around. It was more of a, that sounds fun, so why not sort of change, which I highly encourage. If you're going to be making changes, if they're fun, that's a good idea. And that's one of those things too. It's just encouraging fun on the map. It might not be something that's necessarily super balanced. It might not be something that needs to be there. We'll see if it sticks around or not, but in the grand scheme of things, it was frustrating. I took the clipping off. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we'll get rid of it in the next version. It's always a good idea to try things out, and even things that don't seem obvious, like, should they really have this much height? Well, it's only going to be mostly jumping classes over here. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, I bet a sniper could jump that, which would be a little strong. But yeah, we'll see. Worst case scenario, I make this higher. It's kind of a rule of cool thing, though. Leave it. See, I still didn't fix this crack, too. Once again, I ended up lowering capture times and tweak different geometry things around the map just to kind of help the flow. It was nothing major. And then I fell into the classic trap. There's a set respawn wave time, and there's an add respawn wave time output that you can do on the map. One sets their respawn to a very distinct value, and that's it. Adding adds that much time. So the way respawn waves kind of work really briefly is it can basically be, if I set it to default is 10 seconds, the respawn can be up to like 20 seconds because it goes on waves. It doesn't. You can catch the tail end of a wave and have a short respawn time, or you can catch the very start of a wave and end up having a really long one. It's about like double whatever you set it to. I made the absolute amateur mistake, which happens to everybody. I say amateur, but it's like literally I misclicked and I hit add instead of set. And I added 8 seconds to Red's respawn timer when I intended to change it from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. So I was trying to do this light little tweak, lowering their lowering their respawn time for a second here, because in the previous test I felt like it was a little bit too punishing to have that up to 20-second respawn. And I ended up giving them, I think somebody said something about like a 27, 28 second long respawn time, because they had that 10 and then they had an extra 8 seconds added to it. So I think worst case scenario they could have had like a 36-second respawn timer, which just absolutely it was a train wreck of a test. Red could not hold last at all. It was hilarious, and I feel bad, but it's one of those things that just happens to the best of us, and you learn from your mistakes. And next time I tweak things like that, I'm going to pay a little closer attention, because I haven't done that in a few years. Yeah, so overall testing, I think the map is in a really good place right now. Once I fix the respawn time, obviously, I think things are going to be relatively balanced. The number one issue that I think right now is that it's a little bit too easy to walk past the point and get to red spawn. So there's still some flowish. This corner, there's something about this corner that I need to fix, and it might just need to be scrapped and redone. But right now, blue can take this route, push up these stairs, and completely ignore the point, which could be getting held really strongly, and camp this spawn exit. It's really obvious now, once you look at it that way. But it was something that I needed to see happen to really click with me of like how important that was. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing here yet, but something needs to change about the flow of this corner. It's a little awkward for red to push out. It's too easy for blue to push past the point. I might need to maybe push it up towards the point more, so there's less cover to get past the point, if that makes sense. I need to look at some older maps. I'm taking some influence from like Dust Bowl on some of the routing, while bringing it into like kind of modern TF2 with more height variation and things like that. I'm going for a more old school early TF2 feel while bringing the gameplay kind of to the modern age. At least I'm attempting. I don't know if I'm going to pull it off. It's one thing to take influence from things that are kind of outdated, and it's another thing to make them fun. I'm attempting to make it fun, and we'll see if I can pull it off. But the exciting news is that with that last test, even despite the spawn time issues and things like that, I've decided it's time to start Stage 2. So Stage 2 is going to be coming out of this way. I've already got the fence set up. I've had it kind of in mind. Stage 2 is obviously the payload side of things, so this is the control point stage. It's going to go to the next stage, and it will be payload. You'll be pushing the torch kind of payload cart to the Gavle goat in the end. So this will become blue spawn, which I'm not 100% sure. I need to make more neutral colors, I think, in here. It's not that important, but it's something to think about for the future. And then this will be a route coming out, and then I'm thinking up here there'll be a doorway this way, and then obviously this will get blocked off, and this side will get blocked off. And it'll just be, red's, like a lot of the earlier multi-stage maps, red's first spawn will be blues. That's kind of why I faced it this way too. I made it so red had to turn around and come out, and made that really obvious that was what they had to do, so I could also reuse it, and blue could just go forward and come out, and it'd probably like do a dip here, and a lot of the tricks of early maps to kind of divide the maps off a little bit, so I'm not worrying about anything rendering past this point when you're pushing this way. Like I have to think about an optimization right now for that, because if I made the map and it just went way out this way, you're going to have so much of this area spawning as you're trying to push into like here, like say you stood right here, you're going to get all of second stage, whatever you can see from there. All of this side, it's going to be a FPS nightmare in this corner. So I need to make sure there's a nice hard divide here, even though I've got it pretty open. So yeah, I think that is about it for this. It'll probably be a little bit of a longer gap between the next version, because I need to build the entire second stage from scratch. I got a little start on it already, I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited where it's going. I'm keeping the sewer vibes at the very early opening. The idea is to kind of go from this industrial feel to a bit of a more, I don't want to say residential, but still more like a city center. Taking I'm looking at architecture references from the time period of the area. I'm trying to keep those things in mind, and I've got some really cool ideas to go from industrial into this more city center, public space, where the goat will be at the very end for the finale. I kind of have the opening area mostly figured out, blocked out, which I don't want to show it too early because it's very, very experimental and very prone to dramatic change at this point. But hopefully A6 or so, I should have the second stage ready to go. So if you would like to help me test that, I would greatly appreciate it. Every week, for the most part, holidays threw things off, but most every week on Friday nights we are testing. If you would like to join that, you should check out my Discord server. Link is in the description of the video. As always, huge shout out to Agent Maxwell and Allison for their support, along with all these other fine nerds on my Patreon. If you would like to support me, get your name on here, come see some behind the scenes. I'm probably going to start showing off that second stage on there real soon. You always get a little bit more of like how the sausage is made. You see the dirty work behind everything if you're part of the Patreon, and then of course you get access to some Discord perks, things like that. I appreciate your time though. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.